Dear students, good morning to all. In the previous classes, we have been studying about the gradual realization of assets and piecemeal distribution of cash upon the dissolution of a firm. We have seen that there are two methods for the piecemeal distribution of cash upon the gradual realization of assets. The first method is the proportionate capital method that we have studied in the previous class. The second method is the maximum possible loss method. Then let us see what is meant by the maximum possible loss method. This maximum possible loss method is also known as the notional loss method and is an alternative method of piecemeal distribution of cash. When we studied the proportionate capital method, we have seen that whatever be the cash which is available in the firm or whatever be the cash which is realized from the sale of assets, that is utilized for the payment of realization expenses. After that it is utilized for paying the secured creditors, then unsecured creditors, and for paying partners' loans. After paying all these external liabilities and partners' loans, whatever be the amount which is available in the firm, that is distributed to the partners after ensuring that the capital accounts of the partners or the balance in the capital accounts of the partners are equal to their profit sharing ratio or proportionate to their profit sharing ratio. Only after adjusting the capitals of all the partners to their profit sharing ratio, equal distribution is made to the partners or distribution is made to the partners based on their profit sharing ratio. Until the capital accounts of the partners are made proportionate to their profit sharing ratio, payment is made to those partners or only those partners whose capital account shows excess balance. That is the method we have followed in proportionate capital method. But in the case of maximum possible loss method, suppose there is first year realization amounting to rupees 9,000. At this stage, we are assuming that there will not be any further realization of assets after the first year realization of assets, which means that after the first year realization, our assumption is that there will not be any further realization of assets due to uncertainty in the realization and the remaining assets are worthless. Instead of distributing the amount of rupees 9,000 which is available after first realization of assets to the partners, we are calculating the maximum possible loss to the partners at this stage. The maximum possible loss to the partners can be found out by deducting the maximum possible loss from the balance in the capital accounts of the partners. So here we can explain it with an example. This is the balance sheet which is given. Three partners PQR. Capital account shows a balance of 29,000, 20,000 and 11,000 totaling rupees 60,000. And the creditors amount to rupees 70,000. Then asset side, there is sundry assets amounting to rupees 60,000, cash at bank 4,000 and P&L account balance 6,000. And the firm is dissolved on 1/1/2019 and the assets are realized first rupees 6,000, second 9,000, third 15,000 and last rupees 18,000. If we are working out the problem in the proportionate capital method, what we will do is that first of all we will calculate the balance due as per the balance sheet. Creditors 10,000, P's capital 29,000, Q's capital 20,000 and R's capital 11,000. There is a P&L account loss. That P&L account loss is to be distributed to partners in their profit sharing ratio. Here in the problem, no specific instruction regarding the profit sharing ratio of the partners. So we are assuming that they are equal partners. Therefore, the balance in the P&L account, that is debit balance in the P&L account, that is distributed to partners in their profit sharing ratio 1:1:1. Therefore, the net amount which is available in the capital account of the partners is 27,000, 18,000 and 19,000. Again, 10,000 is to be paid to creditors, thereby making a total amount which is payable to partners and creditors is rupees 64,000. Then the cash balance which is available in the firm is rupees 4,000. And this 4,000 is entirely utilized to make payment to creditors first. Creditors are paid off. The balance which is due to creditors is rupees 6,000. This 6,000 is paid out of the first realization of assets, which means that the creditors are completely paid off, leaving a credit balance in the partners' capital account, that is rupees 27,000, 18,000 and 9,000 respectively. This is the method that we have followed for the payment of external liabilities and partners loan. The procedure is same as that of the proportionate capital method under the maximum possible loss method also. Then after that, there arises variation with regard to the maximum possible loss method. Then let us see what is the change. Here, instead of distributing the amount which is available from the second realization of assets, the amount which is cash balance which is available 4,000, that is already distributed. Then first realization, that is also completely utilized to make payment of creditors. Then the second realization amount rupees 9,000 is available. If we are working out the problem in the proportionate capital method, we are directly distributing this 9,000. Instead, in the maximum possible loss method, we are assuming that now rupees 9,000 is available from the second realization, and after the second realization there will not be any further realization of the assets. So what is the maximum possible loss method, loss of the partners? The maximum amount which is to be given to the partners based on their capital balances is rupees 54,000. The balance due is rupees 54,000. If 54,000 is to be given to the partners and rupees 9,000 is available for distribution, what will be their maximum loss? Their maximum loss will be rupees 45,000. Their maximum loss will be rupees 45,000. First of all, in the maximum possible loss method, we are finding out the maximum possible loss to the partners. After that, this maximum possible loss is distributed among the partners in their profit sharing ratio. Let us see what we have to do here. Rupees 9,000 is available from the second realization, and we have worked out the maximum possible loss. 54,000 is to be given to the partners and 9,000 is available. Therefore, the maximum possible loss is rupees 45,000. This maximum possible loss is distributed to the partners in their profit sharing ratio. As the partners profit sharing ratio, partners share profits and losses equally, the profit sharing ratio is 1:1:1. After distributing this maximum possible loss to the partners in their profit sharing ratio, the balance left in the capital account of the partners is rupees 12,000, 3,000 and 6,000. Please note that we have not distributed the second realization amounting to rupees 9,000. Instead, we calculated the maximum possible loss, and that maximum possible loss is distributed to partners in their profit sharing ratio, and by deducting the maximum possible loss, we have find out what is the remaining balance in the partners' capital account. If the capital account of all the partners show a credit balance, that is a positive balance, that total of that balance will be equal to the amount which is available for distribution, and that amount can be distributed to the partners. If the capital accounts of all the partners show a credit balance, distribute the available cash among the partners exactly equal to their respective capital balances. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടുത്തെ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ എന്താണ് നോക്കിക്കേ. Here we have P has rupees 12,000 credit balance in his capital account. Q has rupees 3,000 credit balance in his capital account, but R has got a negative balance. So at this stage, the cash available for distribution is rupees 9,000 and the total amount which is due to the partners is not equal to rupees 9,000 because one of the partners capital account shows a negative balance. So we cannot make a distribution of rupees 9,000 at this stage. What we have to do at this stage, the deficiency in R's capital is to be borne by the solvent partners. R is considered as an insolvent partner because R has got a deficiency in his capital account, and P and Q are considered as a solvent partners. Therefore, the deficiency in R's capital account is to be borne by the solvent partners P and Q in the ratio of their last agreed capitals as suggested by Garner versus Murray ruling. Last agreed, what is meant by last agreed capital? The capital which is standing to the credit of the partners just before the dissolution of the firm, before distributing the loss on realization, but after adjusting the reserves, P&L account balances, if any. Here, the deficiency of rupees 6,000 of R's capital is to be borne by P and Q in the ratio of their capitals. The ratio of capitals of P and Q, let us see what is the ratio of capitals. Here P's capital shows a net amount rupees 27,000 and Q's capital shows a net amount rupees 18,000. Therefore, their proportion is 27:18. Therefore, the R's deficiency is to be borne by P and Q in the ratio of their capitals, that is 27:18. When this deficiency is borne by P and Q, the capital account in P and Q will give a credit balance, that is rupees 8,400 in P's capital and rupees 6,000 in Q's capital. Let us see this 8,400 plus 6,000, that is equal to 9,000. What is available in the firm for distribution? That is also rupees 9,000. So we are assuming that rupees 8,400 and rupees 600 is distributed to P and Q respectively. That is the distribution of rupees 9,000 from the second realization. Then after that, we are calculating the balance due. The balance in the P's capital is 18,600, Q's capital is 17,400 and R's capital is 9,000. The amount which is available from third realization is 15,000. Here again we are assuming that a total of rupees 45,000 is to be paid to the partners and cash available in the firm is rupees 15,000, and after that there will not be further realization and therefore the maximum possible loss is rupees 30,000. This loss is to be shared by the partners in their profit sharing ratio 1:1:1. 10,000 is distributed to the partners equally based on their maximum possible loss. Then after that we are calculating the balance amount. Rupees 8,600 credit balance in P's capital, rupees 7,400 credit balance in Q's capital, and minus 1,000 in R's capital. Minus 1,000 in R's capital. Here again R's capital shows a deficiency. So we cannot distribute the amount at this stage. R's deficiency is to be borne by P and Q in the ratio of their capitals. The deficiency of rupees 1,000 is distributed among P and Q. P bear rupees 600 and Q bears rupees 400. After that, we are calculating the balance amount, that is P's capital account shows a credit balance of 8,000 and Q's capital account shows a credit balance of rupees 7,000. That is equal to the amount which is available for distribution, that is rupees 15,000, which means that whatever be the amount which is available from third realization, that is rupees 15,000, is considered as distributed to the partners at this stage. Rupees 15,000 is distributed. The amount standing to the credit of the partners will be equal to the cash available in the firm. If the capital accounts show a negative balance, that is debit balance, that partner should be treated as a insolvent and distribute the negative balance, that is deficiency, to the capital accounts of other partners having credit balances in the ratio of their capital stood on the dissolution as stated by Garner versus Murray ruling. Repeat this process till the negative balance is abolished and the payment is made. This process of maximum possible loss is repeated on each realization till all the assets are disposed of. Then let us see what is the balance available. P's capital account shows a credit balance of 10,600, Q's capital 10,400 and R's capital 9,000. Then coming to the last realization. Last realization realizes an amount of rupees 18,000. Here also we are assuming that after the last realization, after the fourth realization, there will not be further realization and therefore the maximum possible loss is rupees 12,000. That is 30,000 minus 18,000, 12,000. This 12,000 is distributed to partners in their profit sharing ratio 1:1:1. And here after distributing the amount, the balance in the capital account of the partner 6,600, 6,400 and 5,000. See, here the capital account of all the partners shows a positive balance. That is, the capital accounts of all the partners shows a credit balance after distributing the maximum possible loss. If the capital accounts of all the partners shows a credit balance, the total of all these balances will be equal to the amount which is available for distribution, and it's assumed that the amount to be paid to the partners, which means that rupees 6,600 is paid to P, 6,400 is paid to Q and 5,000 is paid to R. Then check what is the net amount which is available in the capital account of the partners. P's capital shows a balance of 4,000, Q's capital shows a balance of 4,000 and R's capital shows a balance of 4,000. This is the unpaid balance which is to be borne by the partners, which is considered as the loss on realization. Then again the point to be noted here is that the unpaid balance which is calculated at the last stage is exactly equal to the maximum possible loss which is distributed to partners in the last stage. Unpaid balance at the end is equal to the maximum possible loss shared finally. Therefore, under the maximum possible loss method, first of all, we have to estimate the maximum possible loss to be borne by the partners on every realization, assuming that the remaining assets will fetch nothing. Instead of distributing the amount which is available for distribution, first of all, the maximum possible loss is calculated and that maximum possible loss is distributed to the partners in their profit sharing ratio. After that, if the capital accounts of all the partners shows a credit balance or positive balance, the total of all these amounts will be equal to the amount available for distribution and is assumed as distributed to the partners. If the capital account of any of the partners shows a deficiency, that deficiency is to be borne by the solvent partners in the ratio of their capitals stood just before the dissolution. Repeat this process till the negative balance is abolished and payment is made. This process of maximum possible loss is repeated on each realization till all the assets are disposed of. Then at this point, we should take into consideration three important points. The first one is that up to the distribution regarding the partner's capital, the steps followed is the same under proportionate capital method and maximum possible loss method. Then the second one is that Under the maximum possible loss method, we are not directly distributing the amount what is available. Instead, maximum possible loss is distributed, and in order to find out the amount to be paid to the partners, the balance is worked out, and the balance is to be a credit balance. Then the third point is that the maximum possible loss method, which is distributed to partners in their profit sharing ratio, finally will be equal to the unpaid balance in the partner's capital account finally. That is all about the maximum possible loss method. Thank you.